Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to this webinar. It's actually our first webinar on the world of difference for this year, for 2024. So we're quite excited, and we hope it's one among the many that we can run. We're trying something different for this webinar. We're trying to make it even more compact than it already was. But considering that everyone is busy, it's a Saturday, we just thought this format would work. So what you see in front of you right now is something called as the good atmosphere. And there are loads of words, planets, in the form of planets, stars. What we'd like you to do is, and this is our little welcome drink for the morning, even though it's a Saturday, it's quite inappropriate and it's a non-alcoholic welcome drink. If we were doing this in the evening, I think it would be different. So what we'd like to take
It
you to
remains
do,
the same for me in the evening or the afternoon.
I know
Voices.
it's
Reg, you're
Not able,
breaking up.
not able to
Reg,
hear
you're
somewhere, I
you.
breaking
suppose,
up.
in the
Reg,
world.
Reg, you were breaking up just
So,
now. Reg, sorry. You
oh,
were,
okay.
yeah, so
We
just
couldn't
in case,
understand you.
Oh,
gone
sorry.
again. Change your
Oh,
Wi-Fi. Maybe that
okay.
one's a little slow.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
While I give you this instruction, I'm going to go and switch to the second one. So if you can pick any words that you think would feature in your good atmosphere, it could be for yourself, team, organization, and you can actually put it up on chat.
How do we annotate
No, we
or
put it
put
up
it in
on
the chat?
chat.
Okay.
Excellent. Listening. You can have more than one word. Now, can you just, I'll try and switch my network.
Yeah.
Regina, would you please repeat the question, please?
Sure.
So on chat, what we'd like you to do is we'd like you to look at all the words that you have here on this, the good atmosphere, and think about a word that you would like to generate as an energy or an emotion or as a goal with you, with your team. You said with your team, right, Reg?
Great, thank you.
And just put
Yes,
it on
with the
chat.
team, organization, whichever.
So maximum is how much?
As many as you can.
Oh, okay.
Or you want.
Okay, what I wrote, I didn't see here, so I wrote just hearing that you have to. What would you like to see as a good atmosphere? And wrote there, but
Really makes you think. And why do we want that? And it makes me also wear the fact I need glasses.
It's actually early morning. I can't say which kind of glasses.
You said it won't make any difference morning, afternoon, or evening.
For me, it is not a
But,
difference, but it could be for you.
A whiskey glass it is. Reg, you've changed your
Yeah, I
Wi-Fi?
have. I hope it should. I usually don't have this issue, but
Murphy's Law.
All right, so we've got loads of words coming in. Communication, Arvind says, inspiration, trust, dialogue, brilliant. Great, so this is a great start. Thank you very much. Please do remember all of these. And this is just one of the many tools that the world of difference has to offer. But hopefully, during the course of this webinar, you will find that there are multiple ways that we can achieve this for yourself, for your team, the organization, and of course, for your clients. With that, let's welcome all of you once again. If you are logging in from India, good morning. If you are logging in from anywhere else, then hello and welcome to the webinar of the World of Difference. My name is Regina and we are training in corporate. I'm going to hand it over to Nawaz, who is our founder, course director, the mother in the organization, who slaps and loves at the same time. So, I'm going to hand it over to her because we'd like her to welcome you officially to the session.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you very much, everyone, for giving up your morning time and coming in. I know how precious the morning, Saturday morning is. So I'm not going to harp about us at all. I don't like to mostly do that. But just a quick word that we've been around since 2005, actually end of 2004 to be exact. And I'm very happy and proud to say that we have worked with over 25 Fortune 500 clients. And I think that's, for me, the proof in the pudding, because we've worked with Deloitte since 2008. And I think if we didn't bring it in, then we'd have been thrown out long, long ago. And I'm very happy and proud to say that we have, for the first time, and for all these years, I've been looking for a partner, who can add value to training in corporate. And I'm really, really excited and happy to say MapsTell came into our lives. They are an amazing company. They believe in everything we believe in. And they're creative. They're totally committed to quality, just as we are. And it's been a fantastic partnership. I hope all of you have the opportunity to meet Heller, one of the directors. He comes to India occasionally and we try and get everyone together when he does. So Sebastian Romper, his father's the gentleman who actually started this entire thing in MapsTell and created the tool, the World of Difference. Regina will talk a little bit more about that. And we've got, as you can see, over 300 guides across the world. They are spreading quickly, and I'm not going to say any more. I really want you to experience it. I hope you all have managed to do the questionnaire. Would I have a thumbs up if you did the questionnaire? Great, because those of you who have done the questionnaire, it's not called an assessment. They call it a questionnaire because it's not assessing you. It's just helping you understand yourself and question who you are, what you feel. So great. So those of you who have will find this more meaningful than the others who haven't. And those who haven't can always have the opportunity after the session to try it out. And then we'll send you your map, your personal map. So back to you, Regina. Don't want to take up any more time, so we can go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Gulzar.
Nawaz. Thank you.
Welcome.
Excellent. Before we start, I am going to launch a quick poll and just let's try and see, a little bit about who you are and what is the role that you're attending this webinar with. So let me launch the poll. You should see it on your screen.
Reg, it hasn't come up yet.
Oh, yeah, there's some.
Do you want to just make me a co-host? I can also try them.
Yes.
Satna, don't worry if you haven't done the questionnaire yet. We will leave the link open. You've been sent the link already. So please do take the opportunity. This is a tool that is open to everyone, right? So whether you're working for an L&D as an L&D manager, if you're a coach, it's a brilliant tool. If you're a freelance facilitator, it's a brilliant tool. So as ambassadors, we welcome everyone to the fray. We're not trying to keep it just for ourselves. So great. I'm so glad to see that we've got a variety of people attending. Reg, the poll isn't up yet. Do you want to just move
Yes,
ahead
and
then? Or should we
I've
annotate? Do you want people to
I
just annotate on
think
the slide? You
we can put it up
the...
on chat. I think everyone's already putting it up. Thanks, Sheetal. Thank you, Srijita. I hope I've addressed you correctly. There we go. Excellent.
Yes, yes.
Brilliant. Oh, nice.
You know,
So a lot of facilitators and coaches. Brilliant. So
and
while
this-
you're putting this on, sorry, Nawaz.
and I was just saying that, you know, if you are coaching on behavior, which I'm sure you are, you're going to find this a very powerful tool. So enjoy.
So here is our helicopter view. We've already looked at who we are, and of course that, you know, we don't have enough time to tell you everything that we've done, but hopefully our association, we've started our association with today, and you know, we can have many more conversations. What we are looking for is L&D coaches, as facilitators, as people working in organizations for our clients, are the challenges in behavioral transformation, and that's what we're looking at. And we have a solution for it, something which is niche, something which is probably not tried in such a visual manner. We're then going to look at what are the building blocks of a WOD, which is the world of difference. A quick sneak peek into, you know, what people have said about the tool, etc. And then we're going to try one of the case studies or use cases, as we call it. We don't have the time to try all. So I am going to invite one of my colleagues who's also a part of the session right now, Samira, and we will facilitate a conversation for you to see how we can use the tool. Of course, we're only scratching the surface with all of this. But we can give you many other places where the tool has been used and can be used. And of course, if you are interested, which I'm sure you would be, what is the pathway or what is the journey that you can use to participate? So you can use this, you know, you can either have a user journey or a facilitator journey. And then, of course, we'd get into very quickly the commercials and what are the next few sessions. So I hope that works for you. We are tight on time, but here we go. This is what Nawaz was talking about. The first time associative cartography was used by Sebastian Rompa was when he created the Six Sigma map for Philips, and it was brilliant. And it just made it so much more visual for the employees there. So this is, you know, the kind of work that he did. And post that, he then introduced this and used it with DISC, which I think a lot of us are anyway familiar with, right? So let me ask all of you, and you can put this up on chat. Please feel free to get off mute and shout out your responses as well. We'd love to hear voices. What are some of the challenges that you face as managers, facilitators, coaches, when it comes to making any kind of behavioral change?
If we have to talk about it or write about it.
Both, either or.
I
Or
think
could be love.
first challenge which I see is that acceptation of the fact that there needs to be a change.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of people don't understand that they need to change. For example, you gave us this, you know, questionnaire to fill in, and then well, I was actually given a framework of positive, you know, positive things I have in me and the kind of changes I have to bring in. So, it is all about first, is all about understanding yourself. Are you ready to accept that you want to change? So I think that's the most important starting point, I would say, for anybody to change. So that's where I would like to, stop
Right.
it now.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Arvind. And I have to say that you and Preeti are somehow connected because she has written exactly the same thing that you've said.
He
And
stole my words.
it was exactly at the same time, and I was like, hang on, it can't be that telepathic.
Actually, we are partners in few crimes, actually.
Yes.
I'm, I'm glad you used the word few.
I would like to
No,
add, hi everybody, this is Tanushri
Hello,
Bhattacharya
Tanushree.
here. I completely second what all was said.
The few crimes or everything else that Arvind said about
Not
behavioral
about the
changes?
few crimes, but about the behavioral changes. Yes, people really are
Yes,
reluctant or hesitant
they are.
to accept it.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, thanks so much, Tanushi. Thanks, Arvind. Samira says, doesn't last long. Old habits are so strong. Acceptance that you need a change. Vivek says, changing habits, consistent in habit building. Absolutely. Rajan, thank you. Inertia is something that, it keeps coming up a lot. Like we hear this so often. Acknowledgement, I think most of it is quite similar. Knowing what is to change. Nice one, Preeti. Thank you very much. Now, here are a couple of other aspects that we've written. It's years of conditioning, which I think feeds into what you've all called out. Not receptive or not accepting previous experience. We've done it so long. Why do we need to change? It's worked for us, so why fix something which is not broken? Lack of willingness. It could be insecurity, fear, psychological safety. People don't even want to talk about, what needs to be changed because of the impact it could have. Lack of awareness. I don't know what I need to change. Lack of motivation. There's no point because I'll be the only one making that change. Everybody else is still doing everything else. No feedback. And that's a big one that we receive from a lot of clients. Especially as participants, they're always amazed as to, but I didn't know that this is what I needed to change. I wish they told me about it. Lack of communication, rigid behaviors, biases, right? And there are many more. I'm sure in all our experience that we've had, there'll be so many more things that you would always call out. So what is the solution and how can we tackle all of this, right? And that's what we recommend. We figured that if people can just simply speak about things and their behaviors and what it is that they're thinking about, a lot of changes would just organically happen. And that's why imagine if team managers and team members and everyone in the team can just have a dialogue saying, I'm sorry, Preeti, I wish you had sent me this early. And Preeti says, oh, I'm really sorry, but I had something else. And we could just have a dialogue about all these assumptions that we've had. It would make it so much easier. And what we're proposing is that we can help you create that dialogue through the world of difference. People feel scared and all the things that we called out earlier because we don't know how to speak about behaviors. And through this tool, we'd be able to equip you and empower you and your participants and your clients to actually develop and have this dialogue. And it doesn't have to be this, yearly event where people are given feedback. We can just talk about it. Now, that's the ideal world scenario. Okay, how do we promise this? How can we actually help you with this? And here's a very quick introduction to the world of difference. It is, of course, a tool that is based on this. So as facilitators, we're quite aware of it. We're quite familiar with it. But for me, it is a lot more than this. And when I was initially introduced to this, I kept saying that this is DISC++, because it gives you so much more and you'll know what it does. The world of difference uses associative cartography to create this human behavior. And that is what makes it accessible for people to talk about, the things that they do or say. it's not directly targeted towards you. We use an analogy and it creates a metaphorical journey because the map that they get is made up of more than 2,500 words. There are cities, there are rivers, mountains, and it's amazing. And you can see this, so you have this very visual tool in front of them, and it just creates and piques curiosity. And people start asking questions. And that's what we want our learners to do. We want people to ask questions, right? So they ask questions like, hey, why is this, on my map? And that's what you do as a guide once you get certified in this tool. We call you guides because that's what we're doing as facilitators. We can't tell people what they do, whether what they do is right or wrong, but we can tell them the impact it creates. And that's the beauty of this tool. So what makes the world of difference accessible is that it creates this very safe and positive environment for people to have this dialogue without making you feel like you are stuck in a box and that this is how you were born and this is how you're going to spend the rest of your life. And if you, use a louder volume to speak to people, that's how you are going to be for the rest of it. So it helps you, it doesn't have any kind of judgment. One of the ground rules that we play with is that there is no right and wrong in behavior, which I found very, very difficult to understand initially. But it's actually true. If I don't smile for a meeting, it doesn't make me a good or a bad person, and it doesn't make my behavior right or wrong or good or bad. What I do have to think about is me not smiling in that meeting. What is that saying to the others? And am I getting the opportunity to create a dialogue around it? I could just have a bad day. It doesn't make me arrogant or unapproachable. So that's what the world of difference helps facilitators and coaches do. And it does this in the most psychological, safe way. So now that we've looked at, the introduction, let's just look at what are some of the building blocks. So I'm going to play a video for you right now. And I hope you can, let's check. There we go. I'd just like you to watch the video. You may have watched this video before, but hopefully it'll change the lens today.
We're going to do a test.
Bo's going to prove to a group of volunteers that the two squares are the same color grey.
When you open your eyes, right, first time in the morning, say, do you think you see the world as it really is?
I say yes.
Yeah. You're seeing it. Oh, you're
Seeing and
definitely.
believing.
That depends if I'm wearing my glasses or not. Yes.
Yes. Yes?
I think so.
I mean, why not? All right, well, look at this cube here. What if I told you that those two surfaces are exactly the same? Would you believe me?
I wouldn't.
Okay, come on up. Okay.
Bo has attached a grey swatch to one of the surfaces to allow the volunteers to test this one out for themselves.
Take that dot and move that nice up here, right there.
Oh my God. No way. I want to do it again.
What the? This is crazy.
It's mind-blowing. Your mind's been blown.
It's freaking me.
It's difficult to believe. Let's take another look at the illusion. Try holding up one of your hands and blocking this section of the image.
You can actually try doing that right now.
I read
just-
someone saying that the video is stuck for them. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's Tanushree. Is it started again, Tanushree, or is it still right
I've
now?
paused it right now.
Yeah.
It's right. It's moving, but at intervals. I think my net is slow. So just go
Sorry.
ahead. Don't worry.
So you can actually try doing that. If you place your finger right in the middle on that line, it's almost like a magic trick.
Yes, it is.
And just in case you're still having trouble seeing it, here's that section blocked off for you.
Different? Same.
It's freaking me out.
What's going on?
Tell us.
Are we changing the surface? What's
No.
changing?
Our perception.
Our perception's changing.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Right. Well, they did call out the answer, but you know that this is about perception. But my question to you is, how does this play a role in behavior? Any thoughts, any ideas? Yes, Rashmi, it's almost like magic.
I think the important point comes to us because since childhood, we have been told this is right and this is wrong. So when you are conditioned in that manner where you say black and white, so there is no gray. So, and when you grow up in the world and when you see actually there is no wrong or right, it is just what you're doing. So there are policies for some behaviors which are wrong, you are punished for that. That is a global thing, whether you are there or not there. So apart from that, there is no right, there is no wrong. So that is what I have actually learned, and I come from similar school of thought. He, there was something right and there was something wrong, but it is actually not there. So you have to just look at yourself. Like last year, I had a diary which says only the perception has to change, nothing else.
Yeah. So true. So true. I'm going to add that to my diary this year, even though I don't have yours.
Absolutely with Arvind, Regina. Hi everyone,
Hey,
Sonali here.
Sonali.
I think it's so beautifully put that I don't remember the author though, but it says nothing is good or bad. It's the thinking that makes it so. So
Shakespeare.
yeah, so that's what my dad used to always say, and I really feel that because we are really hardwired in conditioning. So that's exactly what when Arvind said, if we are shown that this is black or white, there is no gray per se. So beautiful. This was a very nice one. Magical, this thing, Red. Really
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, Sonali.
Yes,
Thanks,
yes.
Arvind. Hey, Preeti, you have your hand up. I'm sure you want to add
Yeah.
something.
I think our own perception, like what we can see here as well, our own perception changes depending upon, and this is a little I'll go a little deeper on the needs front, where a simple example of somebody I went to an of my workplace and somebody ate my food, and my own perception changes for the same action of that person. If I'm hungry, I will feel a little upset, a little disappointed. But if I'm like filled, I'll be like more relieved. Okay, I had to throw otherwise, but it is gone and somebody else's. So our own perception in different situations also changes, and perception is what makes the whole lot of a difference. Your perception around you and the world around you. Yeah,
it is. And it's such a true thing. Thank you so much for actually shedding light on that. Thanks so much, Preeti. So Preeti, you have your hand up. Thank you so much for all these responses. I can see some fantastic ones coming in on chat as well.
Thank you so much. I'm Supreet. Definitely the way we are tuned from right from the childhood, that's how we look at things. If the way things, if there's somebody who has to tell us, that you have to look at it in a different way. And this is where you change your perception towards the things which you're looking. That's what I see in myself also, in others also. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Rashmi says, unless we see the impact of our behavior in such a stark manner, it could help to make a change in habit. Absolutely right. Perception is our mental interpretation of our senses, which determines our behavior. How do you all manage to be so philosophical, right? Like on Saturday in the morning, I have to tear a page out of all your books. We forget to look from the other's perspective. Yes, Zara. And Nawaz, of course, says, we in fact have a poster on this, because Nawaz found this quote, there is no truth, only perceptions. And that's so true. Well, there's truth in that statement, of course. Now, how do we use perception in the world of difference? Of course, it's a longer discussion, but it forms the first foundation stone to the entire tool, right? So it is extremely, extremely important for our participants and learners and clients to understand that in behavior, there is a lot of perception that, comes into play. And if we can just have a dialogue around what each of us perceives, it'll cut down on a lot of biases and assumptions. And that's what the tool enables you to do as guides. So this is the basis of what DISC also has. So, these are the different quadrants or the two dimensions that we call them. We have the task orientation, people orientation, and the extroversion and introversion. We won't get into the details of this, but I am going to just call out that it's not an absolute, it is somewhere on the scale. And that's what the questionnaire, when you do the questionnaire, that's what the questionnaire reveals, right? Now, this, of course, in DISC, which you would all be familiar with, gives rise to these 4 quadrants. In the world of difference, we call them areas because the language is all cartographic. So we have the decisive area, we have the influential, stable, and the conscientious. And along the way we call out the colors is that these become the energies. And of course, we're not just one of these colors, we have a combination of that. And that is something that everyone gets to understand at a more deeper level once they receive their reports in the form of the personal map. Now, what the world of difference has done is it does not just look at stereotyping, and that's what a lot of, I don't think tools are created to stereotype people, but it does get lost in translation, in my opinion. And people end up feeling that everyone who comes from this area has to behave in a certain way. So what the world of difference does is it takes it a step further and it helps you nuance the behavior by actually introducing these 16 types, which we're not going to get into. But when you get your report, the first report that you get is in the form of a personal map, which will be one of these maps, right? Now, having said that, we're human beings, and I don't think you can put, you can have just 16 types of human beings. So it does not just say that, okay, your behavior is going to be like one of these. And that's the beauty of this tool, and that's why we absolutely love it. The dialogue is created based on these maps, but that's where your final nuancing happens. So let me just, and we'll demonstrate one of that for you. So here is everything that we have. We first look at perception and what role that plays. So you and I could have the same word on our map, but it may mean something very, very different. So we look at stereotyping, but only from a knowledge point of view. And then we get into the nuancing, and that's where the focus is. We look at the 4 regions or areas, the 16 types. And of course, we have loads of tools, one of which you've already experienced through the good atmosphere. I do have another one here, which you can't see, but I will disable my virtual background. So you'll get to see the second tool, which is called My Compass. And, that's what enables us to create the dialogue. So kind of, Supreet, you're right. But in both of these, so what the world of difference does is it helps you actually talk about it. And no one knows what's going to come out in that conversation. So that's, and let me just show you what the entire world of difference looks like. This is the entire world of difference, right? So all the 16 types are somewhere here. And, I'll show you a little bit about how we use this. So let's experience it. Here is a legend. Okay, we're going to focus on the volcanic eruption, right? So keep your chat windows open. And here is your first word. You've, let's say, received a map which has emotional along with this volcanic eruption. What would that mean for you? Can you put it up on chat?
Anger?
Yes, Arvind.
Aaron?
Anger.
Anger, okay. Somebody else was saying something. All flared up, okay. Outburst. Extreme emotion, grief. Very common image. Oh, that was the earlier one. It's always anger, rage, outburst, tense, panic. Unspoken territory, nice one, Nital. Happiness, it could be happiness as well. Passive aggressive.
I think
And
also shutting down. Like there are some
nice.
people who shuts down and speak nothing.
Excellent. So it could be like a dormant, volcano where nothing is happening, and then suddenly there could be an
Yeah.
outburst. Hyped emotion,
Even
hidden emotion. Yes, Arvind.
it could be a big laughter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be. Now, let me give you another one. Same thing, volcanic eruption, but here's a different word. What do you think this would mean?
Making a
Idea
painting.
generation.
Idea generation. Arvind, sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Making a painting.
Making a painting, burst of creativity, ideation stage, creative.
Or
Almost everybody on the
or
same platform here.
poetic, poetic.
Poetic, innovative ideas, critical
So it
thinking.
will depend on what personality he is. The imagination will, differ from person to person,
Yes,
and depends
absolutely.
on situation to situation.
Right, Supreet. Exactly right. And that's why when the world of difference, when we look at the world of difference, we don't get into the personalities. We just focus on behaviors, because behaviors is right on top. It's the surface. It's what you can see. It's what gets changed quite more easily than changing someone's personality. And as facilitators and coaches, I think our core function is to help people become aware of behaviors. And I don't know if, we want to change anyone's personality. That's so deep rooted. But organizations are interested in getting reports on time and people managing relationships. That's where we come in. So observing the
Yeah,
emotion burst of ideas. Yes, Arvind.
I actually was looking at my journey for last 10 years. And now being an entrepreneur, life has changed. So there is no boss, there are no meetings, there is nobody to rub you off, right? And then I was realizing why my boss liked me. So, and for first 7 years and last 3 years, he did not like me. So the reason was that I was doing everything as he wanted. And when I started not doing things as he wanted, I was becoming bad in his eyes. So, when you start yourself, you want to be yourself, then there is something which is not happening. So that is where I was coming from. So it's all about, like you said, sending reports on time, working on the objectives they want. Everything is, then you're a good person. So it's like, class teacher or the school teacher. You do homework and your classwork, you're a good student.
It will
So
depend on your manager also, Arvind. If your manager is a good boss, you will always send it on time. If your manager, if not good, then it's always a rub which always happens. It will depend on the other's personality also, right? It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
only other
Talking about
situation.
great bosses, I do have to call out. I have a great boss, who you just met some time ago. I wonder what date it is today.
Nawaz.
Yes, I have a fantastic boss.
She's so
That's
happy
great,
that she
actually.
was
But
looking all over.
I just
I'm
wanted to
looking for the great boss.
But
I hope
when
she's
you had a
not
vote
giving
of
you an extra
confidence, it's
paycheck
already
here.
there.
I know.
अभी
Thanks,
अभी
Tanushree.
आपका साइकिल क्या है, जनवरी
Appraisal
टू
time,
दिसंबर
guys.
That's
है या
Appraisal
that's
time.
exactly why I was looking at the date.
April to March is your cycle, so you will get a
Nawaz
good raise.
to give an extra paycheck now too.
Excellent. We have this on record also. Noaz is wiping off.
He has to pay me for the headaches.
See,
Okay.
I just wanted to
typical
add
boss
everybody.
statement. Huh?
Yes, Tanushree.
When you say, personality is different than behavior, I do agree to this. However, I feel, that a behavior, a series of behavior actually shapes a personality. So when
And the
we
other way
talk
around
about,
also.
yes, of course, of course. But mostly when, like how he just said that in these 10 years of journey, now that there are a lot of changes that has happened, uh, he does feel that. So I'm sure certain behavior, certain way
we
of
we
looking
couldn't
at.
we couldn't hear you.
I was saying that, like how you said, that there has been changes. So I'm sure that in your personality, not in personality, maybe in your behavior, in your way of approach, you have definitely seen certain changes for good. So I believe, when we are determined to approach or behave in a certain manner, by default, when we master it or we consciously put an effort, it also rubs on our personality and we transform. What do you say?
Absolutely. So, Tanushree, sorry, I didn't mean that the personality and behavior is different. And because we do know that one leads to the other and one does influence the other.
Correct.
What we're looking at in the world of difference is to be able to make changes or to bring about any kind of impact at the behavior level. And this is what I learned in my course when I was learning this tool, right? Like behavior has to be something which is filmable, something that you can see. There are aspects of our personality which are not always seen, but behavior you can. And that's where we're trying to make that impact. So coming, looking at the words that we all called out, and thank you very much for that thought. And you are absolutely right. It does shape at a certain level, and every kind of change in our life will affect the way we behave. So if you just look at the same word, or, we look at the legend, the volcanic eruption, we had emotion and we had imagination, right? And each person's interpretation, while sure, all of you said creative power, etc., there could be so many different ways to interpret that. I've had someone who said, you know what, actually, I'm a very creative person, but for the past few months, I've not been able to think creatively and I've been quite stuck. And it's so amazing that this is actually coming up right now, because that's what I need to try and figure out. Same thing with emotional. I'm usually a very expressive person, but for the past few months, I've been feeling very emotional or not feeling emotional. It can be anything, right? The
Can I ask
point
you one
is,
question?
yes.
Are you serious?
So the reason why I'm calling it out is because as facilitators, and I've seen that because I've done it myself, when we get reports, I used to tell people, this is how you behave, and this is what you do. And I'd often find that, people would sometimes say, but that's not all me. I don't do that all the time. Because as human beings, we go through different phases. And while we may be, like you can see conviction here, which we call as the capital, while that is our capital city on this map, for whoever map this is, the way I demonstrate conviction would be very different. So same thing with imagination. I could have a very different way of exhibiting or demonstrating my imagination as compared to how Arvind would or how Tanushree would. The same thing would apply where we look at talkative. And, my favorite one is playful. I have a very different way of showing playful, and Nawaz would have a very different way of showing playful. Her playful probably would also happen in the way she would communicate. And neither of us is right or wrong. We just need to understand how the other person demonstrates, all of these words. And then it creates the world of difference and a world of understanding. So, keeping that in mind, and that's what the tool helps us do. It helps you create that dialogue. And to, to just help you a little bit more here, what we're going to look at right now, Samira, I hope you are ready. We usually have a poll, but I can see that we're out of time. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at a coaching scenario right now. And this is how we would, so these are the 16 types. The map gets further divided. And like I said, that's the first level of nuancing. But the second level of nuancing happens when you as a guide can actually facilitate a dialogue with your learner. So this is what the map looks like. So when you attend or when you answer your questionnaire, the system gives you one of these 16 types, right? And there are three main sections in this. One is, of course, the landscape of behavior, which you see here. The second one, which is my favorite section. And that's this section here where you see how others perceive you. And it's brilliant because it puts so many things into perspective. And it doesn't necessarily mean that this is what you demonstrate, but this is the perception that somebody else has of what I've demonstrated here. For example, I can have, I'm friendly. And if you can look at the, personal map, there is a word friendly. Now, me being friendly, I can ask the most personal questions in my first meeting with you. And that is me exhibiting friendly. But someone who is not from this area would perceive that to be over friendly, too theatrical, too unpredictable, very lightheaded, very unrealistic. Like, how can you, very intrusive. But that doesn't make me intrusive. It's just your perception of me being friendly. And that's the dialogue you create as a guide, which puts people at ease because it removes any kind of judgment. And that's what we're focusing on. So I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I'm also conscious of the time. So here's a scenario that we're going to run.
If everybody agrees, we can extend the time.
We'll start, and then maybe we can look at another 5 minutes extra something.
So can you show the last slide, please?
Yes, the map.
Yeah, the previous one.
This one.
इसके बाद भी एक slide थी ना?
This one.
Yeah.
So it's just a more zoomed in view.
Okay.
And there are loads of words. And the beauty of this is just because there are all these words doesn't mean I have to demonstrate each and every one of them. So, Samira, let's just try and experience it. So there are multiple uses of the world of difference. Like there are various ways that you can use it. You can use it as a recruitment tool, but when you use it in recruitment, it's not to check whether you are the best suited for that role in terms of your competencies. It helps you create a dialogue so you can understand the person more. And it can break away from the traditional questions that people get asked, what is your 5-year goal, plan, etc. Yes, Supreet.
I had, sorry.
So, can you, take one slide back, please?
Yeah, yes.
So
this one?
So I don't know whether others have the same question which I am having, which I have put in the chat box. Okay. Now we do a lot of DISC and 16PF, to understand the personalities and all, which is okay. Both of them have different aspects which you have put together today in the world of difference, what you are mentioning, or DISC and then which is there. Now, say when we are looking at the map, okay, at least I am looking at the map. So I am not able to understand the correlation between the two of these things, okay? The personalities and the map, right? Okay. That's how it is. And if there is a real relation, okay, so I would like to understand what is the research which has been backed up for this.
Sure. Supreet, so is there a relationship between personality and behavior? Yes. What does the world of difference focus on? It focuses more on the behavior. I can have a separate, conversation about the relationship and the kind of research, etc. We've actually, the world of difference is not taken the 16 PF. It seems like it, but it really depends on the questionnaire that you filled out, and it gives you the combination. So the map that you see in front of you is just an example. And I think this is the map of a mediator, which would be a combination of, of course, the different percentages that the algorithm has got for you. We can also share the Cronbach score to help you with the efficacy, etc. How does this play out? Because if you look at this map, it's going to look really confusing right now. It's going to intrigue you, but you might not be able to make a lot of sense, but it will definitely intrigue you. And that's why the guide comes into the picture. So you as a facilitator or a coach will actually guide and help your learner navigate through their behaviors, which is what I'd like to demonstrate right now in a bit, if that's okay. Does that work, Supreet?
See, very frankly, I do not want to, raise a question mark here. Maybe you have some, which is there. So, so let me, ask you very. So amiable is what you have mentioned on the, very west coast part of it. If you see on the map, right?
Correct.
Right now, I do understand there must be some, essence which must have gone behind that, to put that behavior into, or maybe the personality on that particular part which is there. The first part, as a professional, I would like to understand that how that particular area on the area of the map is aligned with that particular personality, and how then it is connecting with the personality which I am looking at for a change. Okay, that is what which has to come out very, very clearly. That is one, because when you do a disc, you clearly get to know that what are your 4 personalities. When you do 16 PF, you get to know immediately what are your 16, what are the personalities which are coming across, right? Now, so when we are, just a second for this. And then what happens is that, you get to understand, the personality, and then you need to align your personality with the other's personality. If at all the other person is, is it. So that's how it works out, right? So maybe from that point of view, I'm still very unclear and not that satisfied on that part.
Fair enough. And that's why this is just a webinar, but thank you so much for raising that question. First thing, and I think Nawaz has also put the same thing up, the world of difference does not look at personalities. We're just focusing on behaviors. How do we get this on the map? And that's why it's based on DISC. So, the 4 areas that come out in this, the 4 quadrants, the decisive, the conscientious, influencing, these are all words from there. But of course, there's a lot of research done. There is a combination of all the words, and that's why it's here. Now, just because I have the word amiable, it actually still doesn't mean a lot, because Supreet could demonstrate amiable, and that's what the world of difference focuses on. It's not the word itself, but it's the demonstration of that behavior and the impact it would have on somebody else, and of course on you. So if, and that's where the nuancing happens. So we're not looking at personalities. The world of difference consciously has not taken, or, does not look at personalities. It just looks at behaviors, because that's what you will see on the surface.
It's a lot here.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Nawaz.
So Supreet, I've also done my disc and of course done my assessment. I would first, have you done the questionnaire? Have you completed that?
No, I haven't received the questionnaires.
Okay, there's a link that was sent with all the invites, and so we'll resend it to you.
Sure.
What I would strongly recommend is that you actually experience it. You do the questionnaire, we will send you your report, and you can look at it versus DISC. So I don't know if it'll happen to you, but I found that it was far more accurate in the reading of my behaviors than DISC was, because DISC looks more personality and tends to put you in a box, which this doesn't. It gives you the freedom to realize that you've matured, you've moved, and currently who am I and what is the impact of my behavior on others? And do I want to change that? Maybe I don't, but it allows me to think about it. So it's honestly really, kind of experience when you are coached on it, or if you do it in a session. So right now it is very confusing, and it's a metaphorical journey, right? The visual map, and there's a floor map that Reg talk about. When people take that journey, they really want to talk, and that's the whole point. They open up. All the people who are quiet, the people who have got an attitude, it all seems to, activate people to share. So I hope that helps.
No, I do understand. I mean, I do understand that part now. the experiential learning is more, getting into picture, where people would like to experience more lot of it, of the personalities, rather than taking an assessment, which gives you, just a report part of it. So I do understand. I will connect it with you, separately, maybe, to get more clarity. I do not want to waste the time of forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Supreet. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for calling that out. And yes, we will connect. So let's try and experience it. I'm going to invite Samira, who's also guide with us. She's certified on the tool, and I've kind of put her in the spot because somebody else, we couldn't get the schedules to match. So Samira, if I can just ask you to share your screen of the personal map, and I'll set the context with everyone. We're going to demonstrate a coaching scenario. Hello, Samira, can you please come on and say hello to everyone?
Samira is stuck. She's thinking.
I think she's having some connectivity issues because of.
I think she's on mute.
Samira,
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
now
hear
we
you
can.
and see you. If you can just zoom into your map a bit.
Okay. Where do you want me to zoom in, Reg?
Just
so much?
Yes, that's perfect. And then you can, of course. So Samira is a senior manager, and her organization, Samira, this is news for you as well. So
yes, it is. Thank you.
So and as usual, I've changed a couple of things.
Of course.
So, Samira is a senior manager in the organization, and she's really great at her job. She's a great SME, and but the organization wants to invest in her to be able to manage the people aspect of it a little better. Now, we've had multiple coaching rounds, so this is not our first conversation. We've kind of introduced Samira in the last sessions, and that's the context that I'm setting. So she's aware of her map, right? But right now I'm going to get her. So this is the second or third session, and it's going to be in continuation to the last one, where she's sort of realized why she's here, but we need to figure out what is it that she's, not doing right or wrong or whichever. Hi, Samira. And I'm going to just jump in, yeah? So, Samira, last time we spoke about a couple of things, and it was, you spoke about the fact that your team says certain things about the way you get your work done with them. So, can you just call out one or two things that they say about you, which also came up in our 360?
They said that some of you want me to share words, right? Which
yes.
Yeah. So they said that I was quite organized, and then they said that but I could be quite difficult sometimes because I keep on asking for them to redo work. So two things are popping in my head. They said I'm quite helpful, but I can be a little bit impatient.
All right. So let's look at a specific scenario where you're giving your team members a task to complete, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which of these words from the landscape of your behavior do you visit? Like, which of these do you demonstrate while giving them a task?
Can I use the annotate and highlight them?
Yes, please. Okay. Thank you.
So I think one of the things which I do definitely is I'm quite deadline oriented. So, I get impatient when I don't get deadlines. I like the reports to be done a certain way and check. And we do like a 4-eye check. So I like them to check and double check before they submit it. Let me say,
do you give them, so how do you demonstrate deadlines? You said you do give them timelines, but how firm are you on that?
I like people to stick to deadlines. If they're not going to reach the deadline, I like to be told
Okay.
Not that when the deadline has passed, then they say that, oh, you know what, this is what happened and this was the problem. So that's what I find. That's when I get very irritated, you know. And I also like them to check and double check. So I'm quite analytical in the process which they're going to follow to generate the reports and the data. I'm quite careful in the sense that I make sure that the people who are going to be allocated the task have got the ability to do it, you know, because I don't want them to spend time learning, not for anything else. It's that they shouldn't be on a steep learning curve.
All right. So
these are the 4 things which I can see.
Brilliant. So we're not going to look at all the words. We're just going to look at a couple of them right now. I'd like you to go to the section that says how others perceive me. So if you can just move the map.
I'll just try to move the map. I don't know why. Annotate.
You'll have to
Get
stop
out
the
of
annotate.
annotate.
Yeah. How others perceive
it's up.
me.
Yeah.
It's up, no?
Yes.
Yeah, here.
Right. Now, do you recognize any of these places either through the feedback or what your team says about you? Is there anything?
Yeah. Can I use another color?
You can actually just call it out also. I can annotate for you.
Okay. So sometimes they say that I'm very confusing because I give so many instructions that I recognize.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel that I'm very lighthearted in the sense that I'm quite friendly and I make jokes and all the rest of it. And the other word, yeah, I think restless here on the right over here, put it in purple.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so I've got lighthearted here and restless.
Confusing.
Yeah, so these are the things that I'm able to identify with.
Recognize.
Of course, I feel like I'm quite romantic in the sense that I'm quite soft and, you know, that kind of thing.
All right, thank you. So let's look at these 3 words. And of course, it would be a lot deeper in the actual coaching scenario.
Yes.
But are you intentionally trying to be confusing, Samira?
No.
All right. And, you know, are you trying to be restless and like be impatient with them?
No, it's just that I know that we have a deadline and I know what the repercussions of not meeting deadlines.
Right. No.
So I have many things on my plate, you know, so I just want to get done with it sometimes.
Correct. So while you and your intention is to make sure that you adhere to the deadlines, but the others in your team probably see that as you being restless.
Yes.
It's not that you intend to, and you know, it's just that they feel you're being restless with them. Do you think that could affect the way they see you and the way they also function in the team and complete tasks?
Yes. Yes, it probably would, because yeah, I do see some. Yeah, I can see that some of them are feeling a little frazzled because, you know, I'm like, oh, let's do this and let's do this, and you know.
Would you like to change it?
Yeah,
not
but I
change
don't.
this, but would you like to change the outcome? Like, do you not want them to feel like you're restless? And I'm not asking you to, you know, compromise on the deadlines, but would you like to change the impact it has
Yeah,
on them?
obviously, because then what happens is that they get a little bit, you know, they feel very defensive when they're speaking to me.
Okay, great. That's a good start. So in the next session, what we're going to do, Samira, is we're going to charge you a little more, because then we're going to give you solutions to be able to
Pleasure. It's
avoid that. Please don't add that to your coaching conversations. All right. But on a more serious note, this would be, thanks, Samira. Thank you so much. And of course, we've taken just one word and looked at how that could be perceived by the people that Samira works with. And that's how you would enable the dialogue. And, you know, conversations go much, much, much deeper. I've had people who can get who've gotten emotional. It's been such an eye-opening conversation for them. Very, very senior leaders in the organization have, you know, kind of understood and become more aware and been amazed at what all this tool can bring out. We've not even scratched the surface in this conversation. but I've just helped you understand, I hope, how as a guide you would facilitate this conversation. And there are conversations that can be quite difficult, but that's what we would help you with. And of course, as successful guides, I'm sure you anyway know how to manage difficult conversations. The tool just makes it a lot more accessible for your learner to be able to talk about these things. So that's one of the ways that you can use the tool. Thank you so much, Samira. Thank you for sharing your personal map with everyone and for doing this. Does that give you a slight bit more of an insight as to what the report would look like and how your conversations could possibly pan out? Thank you, Supreet. Thank you. And I'm sure you have many more questions right now after looking at this.
I would not like to put it forward here, but definitely
Sure.
one-on-one. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And we can definitely connect. I'm not saying questions only for you. I'm sure a lot of others have many more questions. Once you experience the tool, it kind of creates, and we're happy to have this conversation. If you want to understand your own map, we can definitely help you with that. But let me just go back to how can you, be a part of this journey, if that's the question that you have. So there are two journeys that we can take on. Namas, do you want to add anything? Do you want to share? Sorry, I've not checked with you.
No, go ahead. Thank
All
you.
right. So the first one is that as a user, where you just come in and you do something that we call as the personal mapping workshop, where we would help you understand the questionnaire and then, help you understand your personal map, the nuances of the conversation, etc. The next one is as a facilitator, where you will be able to facilitate the personal mapping workshop, and where you can then coach and facilitate these kind of workshops for your learners and clients, right? And to do that, we would look at the guide accreditation program. And the first step, of course, is for you to take the questionnaire. Oh, sorry. Let me go to the usage journal. Where you do the questionnaire, we give you the personal map and what we call as a route guide, which is a detailed report, 24-page if you like. And then you have two options. One is a face-to-face option, and of course, one is the virtual option for the personal mapping workshop. There is also an e-learning module. So it's not a checklist certification. It's not one of those certifications where you attend and you get a certificate at the end of it. There is, there are a lot of quality checkpoints in between. We finally look at the actual guide accreditation, which is about a 16-hour workshop, and then the final certification where you're asked to do a project. Now, why should you do this? First, because it's a fantastic tool, but it will enable you to use these personal maps and route guides with your participants. You'll be able to conduct the personal mapping workshop, and you will also be equipped to use this very, very fantastic tool, which is what we've kept for at the end. The whole world of difference also enables you to use this massive map if you're doing any kind of ILT, which is a 15 by 18 feet large printed map, is exactly as you see here. And this is what creates a wow factor in workshops. People can physically travel on the map, move from one place to another, and they can explore behaviors in a very, very creative way. So here is just a glimpse.
So can you give a very more specific example?
That's how it looks. We've tried to cramp it up.
Made you admire that? I think it is the ability to shift from saying that this is.
So we're not going to, of course, get you to watch the entire thing because that was also a part of our certification. And if you're wondering that you do more virtual sessions, then we also have, a lot of high-def maps online, and then there's AR, and that's a glimpse of it. Which, of course, in the world where everything is getting innovative and leveraging technology, that's, I think, a great example of that. So these are some of the tools. You've already experienced the good atmosphere. This is the My Compass. So I'm going to try and show you what it looks like. And that's what the My Compass looks like. So it actually helps you navigate through behaviors, and it's honestly, it's amazing. So you do have a lot of tools that will help you with your workshop. And yes, I think that's about it. I can see that we're already out of time.